It occurred to me that I might have painted myself as some sort of a wholesome person, which I most definitely am not, but by um, mainly, or not just mainly, only focusing on things that I truly enjoy and have a hard time finding something to complain about or just straight up dislike. It may have seemed that I am more of a good person than I actually am, or that my opinions are uh, way milder than they actually are in reality. If I ever were to actually unleash, then um, I don't think the channel would last much longer. Uh, Maybe it would end up even worse than just me getting banned. So I thought I should probably mention this so that no one and, well, not even me have the wrong impression that uh, I'm some sort of child friendly, uh, no controversy, uh, no incorrect opinion kind of a person, and that the sole reason that I've already mentioned right at the beginning in my first video for only ever talking about things like that, things that just purely make me happy, is that um, otherwise I would just be very negative, very much rejecting most of the current media, and I already have enough of that in my usual feed, in what I usually consume. So I thought that it would be more productive if um, I just solely focused on the positives. So that's something that I wanted to mention. That's obviously not just about gaming. It means pretty much every aspect of my life. So it is important for me. So next thing I wanted to talk about would be the possible reason for my infatuation with the original campaign, and that might be closely related to the fact that whenever I began a new playthrough through the Neverwinter Nights game, it was the beginning of the adventure. And whenever I started, I knew that I still had multiple chapters, tens of hours of a great game that was important to me in front of me. And even when I finished the original campaign, I still knew that there is the DLC, that one that I've played, the Hordes of the Underdark. And this time, when I played through the first DLC as well, um, I was still feeling that kind of certainty that there is more to come, there are more adventures for that character, and that I'm not at the end of the journey. But now, when I'm halfway through the second DLC, I'm already starting to feel the sort of melancholy, sorrow, regret, whatever you want to call it, that is the end. And that might be the reason, or one of them, for my severe nostalgia towards the original campaign, because it was just the beginning, and the DLCs for me are, I like the second DLC. Uh, I mentioned that the first one I wasn't really impressed with, but still, I think I prefer the original campaign. So now we are in the second chapter of the second DLC. We begin um, our adventure through the Underdark, um, in the presence of the seer who prophesied our coming, and our job is to help the enclave of the refugees through the attack of the Matron Mother, and it's done in a way that very, very closely reminds you of a segment of their other game, Baldur's Gate 2, and I would almost call it a ripoff if it was from a different studio, but since it's BioWare, they just copy and pasted the story from one game into another, gave it a little twist here and there, but it's still basically just you in a hub in the Underdark, going on small fetch quests towards different species that live in the Underdark. Um, you get new companions since you were unable to take the original campaign henchmen into the Underdark. One of them is the Dark Elf that you've met previously, Nathira, uh, which is obviously my choice. And then it's time to explore the hub. There is a powerful smith that can improve weapons way past anything you can find, up to that point, and pretty much even past this point. There are not many that can reveal anything that he can improve. There is a small quest here that can result in gaining more allies, or just not having to deal with another enemy that's inside the camp. Then you need to take care of some other allies that the Matron Mother uh, have gained. You can either push them to your side or just eliminate the danger whatsoever. First one is the strange island where an entire city was teleported. Your job there is to find um, shards of a mirror. You need 5 of them in total, and once you assemble this mirror, you will find out what actually happened on the island, that the city was teleported there by the creator of the Undermountain dungeon, and it warped the perception of things of all the inhabitants of the city, winged elves, and you'll get a wise fool, you'll get a merchant that hates profit, you'll get a librarian that used to love books, now burning them, the wizard that gave up his magic, and so on and so forth. Very interesting, especially the fool that has to give up his gained wisdom in order to reassemble the mirror. The next step is once you finish this, you get the mirror. You can use it or you can give it to the seer. You can use it in one of the other places, uh, one of the other allies of the Matron Mother. You can trade it to a race of mind flayers in order to persuade them to call off the alliance with Valshares, and that's one of the options. Next up is the island where you can recruit some golems. This one is tied to your alignment or just your roleplay, however you want to play it, and you get the option to help these now self-sentient golems to get their freedom, and you'll meet their maker, their creator, that turned himself into a demi-lich. So that's a very powerful opponent, uh, one of the harder fights. And then you have an encounter with beholders, one of the signature creatures of the Forgotten Realms of the Dungeons and Dragons universe, one-eyed monsters. No other way to proceed here than just removing them from the equation. So that's what you do. And the next step are the Mind Flayers, which to me are an extremely hateful race. So you have the option of allying yourself with them through the mirror, or not exactly an alliance, but you are able to persuade them to not aid in the battle against the Sears camp. But I never do that, especially considering the end game credits, where you get to know the consequences of some of your choices. So it makes the battle a little bit harder, but nothing that would be actually dangerous to your character. And you have the option to actually destroy all of them, and that's what I do. There is no reason to stray away from my good guy persona in games, so I never ally myself with them. Then there is a cult that summons some undead, and once you are done with all of these, it's time to try and resist uh, the Valshares' attack on the camp. So you get your allies that you were able to get on your side, and uh, once you are able to defeat her forces, it's time to go and hunt the Matron Mother, and you get a choice to join her or fight her and her summoned demon that is her biggest ally and the reason why she was able to rise to such a high position amongst the Dark Elves. But it turns out that her supposed ally betrays her. He leaves her alone to fight you, and once you actually kill her, it sets him free. And now your job is basically to get out of hell back to the real world and stop the devil from conquering all of the living. So the third chapter basically happens in the hell. So that's what I'm going to go through in the next one, and that'll be the end of Neverwinter Nights 1.